Super Bowl at Levi's Stadium. And I'm hoping that it finally makes John Lynch do what needs to be done and trade multiple picks for a Justin Jefferson or a Max Crosby. We're live on YouTube. This will be available on YouTube after. I'm sorry it took me a while to do this live. I was on another live. I was taking my dogs to the dog park, trying to get my mind off of the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl. And the one thing I'll say is I'm happy for Sam Darnold. I went to USC. I'm a USC alum. Very great guy. I've met him. Very happy for him. And I do hope that, I can feel what Seattle fans are feeling tonight in terms of winning a Super Bowl, like watching their team win. Because obviously I haven't seen it. I've lived on this earth 27 years so far. I have not seen it. And I want to believe that the 49ers are close to a Super Bowl. I want to believe that. But you just look at Seattle's roster top to bottom, there's no flaws. You look at the Rams, they have one flaw, they're secondary. And you look at the Niners, and it's like there's flaws all over the place. And coaching kind of made us overlook all those flaws. Like they need another safety, they need another corner. And those aren't even the top two needs. They need another edge rusher because Michael's out. They need another D tackle to provide depth alongside Collins and West because I don't think Davis is getting it done. They need an offensive line, a replacement for Trent Williams once he inevitably retires, someone that he can learn behind, someone that can learn behind him. They need a guard alongside Dominic Pooney, who will give another year to see if he's healthier and can make us feel better about it. They need wide receivers. And they need a tight end. So basically, they need everything but a quarterback, pretty much, the San Francisco 49ers. And, based on their track record of success with the NFL draft, I can't trust them to get it done. I heard Kyle talk today, and I feel bad for Kyle. And I know a lot of people will be like, oh, Kyle, choked all these Super Bowls. And yeah, could he have called better plays? Absolutely, he could have called better plays in the Super Bowls that he was in. But hearing in his voice how sad it made him, like, it's not his fault. It's not. They haven't had the roster. Look at the Seahawks. They just won without a good quarterback performance. Why? Trench play. Gave Darnold enough time because their offensive line's elite. Even against a good D-line, they were able to keep him steady, right? And their D-line was fantastic. Forget about the secondary. We're just talking trenches alone. What wins Super Bowls? Trenches. Eagles, trenches. Hurts didn't have to be great until the Super Bowl. And what do the Niners not have? What do they not have in 2023? A good offensive line besides Trent Williams. What do they not have now? A good offensive line. They had a good defensive line on that Niners team, enough to win a Super Bowl, but it wasn't as dominant as either of the defenses we've seen tonight. Now, again, that's not on Kyle, but he had playmakers and he didn't have the offensive line. And I'm telling you right now, for Brock Purdy to win a Super Bowl for the 49ers in the next 2 years, because if he doesn't, he's gone. I'll tell you guys that right now. If Brock Purdy doesn't win a Super Bowl in the next 2-3 years, they will void his contract and move on because they'll realize, well, we can't win with the quarterback making $50+ million a year. We thought we could. We love this guy, but he will not be the quarterback of the 49ers in a few years if he does not win a Super Bowl. I'll tell you guys that right now. That's number one, because they'll take the easy way out. They'll be like, we don't know how to build a roster around Brock Purdy. We're going to draft a quarterback on a rookie contract, have Kyle make him look somewhat respectable, and use all of the resources elsewhere. That's what's going to happen if he doesn't win. But what they need to do is, I'm sick and tired of everyone be like, they need to draft a wide receiver in the first round. Let's get Casey Concepcion. Do you think Casey Concepcion fixes everything that we saw this year with the 49ers? They got pushed around like rag dolls against that Seattle defensive line. Their O-line was completely fucked the entire year. They have poorly built this roster, and Kyle Shanahan's excellence as a coach is making people overlook the literal incompetence in malpractice that's going on by the front office of the 49ers. They haven't drafted well in the first few rounds in half a decade. I can't name one hit. Can you? Michael, jury's still out. Ricky, always injured. Jury's still out. I'll give him credit. Second round pick, Renardo Green, jury's still out, had a bad year. Wasn't entirely his fault. I still believe in Renardo. Second round pick, Alfred Collins, jury's still out. I want to see another year of consistency. Let's go back to 2023. Jared Brown, ass. 2022, what was it? Drake Jackson? Was that Drake Jackson? Ass. And I had a class with Drake Jackson at USC. Nice kid, not a good football player. Horrible draft pick. Nick Bodino was the next pick. Okay. 2021, I think, was the last year. 2020, They didn't have a first or second in 2021, right? Because they traded up for Trey Lance. Trey Lance was the miss. I'm saying besides Trey. Um, but yeah, I mean, like 2019 was the last time they hit on a pick in the first or second round, guys. You know how fucking long ago that was? They've played in 2 Super Bowls and 4 NFC championships, I think, since then. 3 at least. So like what like Seattle literally won a Super Bowl, was mediocre for about a decade, rebuilt on the fly because they hit on their first round picks. And it's not like Seattle had a top pick in the draft. They were mediocre. They were mediocre. What did they hit on? JSN, 20th pick in the draft. Quinyon Mitchell later in the well, that was a little bit or not Quinyon Mitchell. What am I talking about? Devon Witherspoon. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I got them mixed up. That was 5th overall. Byron Murphy. What was that? 12th, 13th, 14th, maybe even 16th overall. Gray Zabel late in the first round. I mean, go down the list. Go down the list. Seattle hit on all their draft picks. And I'm not saying that Seattle, is the blueprint of an organization to look at, but they did hit on everything they needed to hit on. Schneider did a great job as GM, and they hit on all their picks. So the problem I have with the 49ers is how do they improve? I think it's very simple how they improve. Okay. It's just not going to happen. I could tell you right now, if they invest in the offensive line, they go get Tyler Linderbaum, they go trade for an edge rusher, they give up that first round pick, and they get maybe Alec Pierce, or they get, somebody like that, somebody that can actually separate at a high level in free agency, Rashid Shaheed. They could make a Super Bowl next year. But if they continue to disregard the offensive line like they have and run out Jake Brendel at center, Colton McKivitz, who's fine, but like the 2 guards that can't play, Pooney should be healthier, I'm hoping, but they are not going to go far if they spend their resources the wrong way this offseason, which I fully expect them to do. I have no faith in John Lynch. I don't know why anybody does. This is the last year. If they don't make a deep playoff run next year, and they actually go all in, because I think the good thing about Seattle winning is it might force the Niners' hand to go all in, be like, look, they've won 2 Super Bowls since you've won one in 30 years, and the Rams have won 2 since you've won one in 30 years. So, like, you got there, you have a bunch of NFC championships, but who cares about NFC championships? We have more than, like, anybody in history over the past decade, right? Like, more anybody in the NFC. It doesn't matter. Who cares? No one plays for NFC championships. They play for Super Bowls, right? For the 49ers to win the Super Bowl, they need to prioritize the trenches. That is the most important thing. And I think it gets out of hand when people start talking about, let's get Casey Concepcion, let's get a safety, let's get a corner in the top 3 rounds. What? So we're just going to completely disregard the most important side of the football? What won this football game? Trenches. Seattle's line was just a little bit better offensively. Seattle's D-line was just a little bit better defensively. You could say the secondary. The secondary only looked good because of the trench play. And a lot can be fixed with that. So again, happy for Sam Darnold. I've met him personally. Great guy. I went to SC. Not at the same time. He had graduated right before I got there. But awesome dude. Never heard a bad thing about him. Very happy for him. And as a USC alum, he's the first USC quarterback to win a Super Bowl as a starting quarterback. He won't be the last. I want to feel how Seattle fans feel tonight. I want to feel that exhilarating feeling of your team winning a Super Bowl. I haven't felt that. I'm a Laker fan too, and I know a lot of you guys are probably Warriors fans. I grew up in Los Angeles, California. Right, I've been here my whole life. We didn't have a football team. My dad's always been a Niners fan, so I've always been a Niners fan my entire life. But I've also been a Lakers fan. So I've seen the Lakers win a championship. I don't need to see that shit ever again. Would it be nice? Sure. I want the fucking 49ers to win a Super Bowl. I haven't seen that shit. I've seen my Angels win a Super Bowl. I'm an Angels fan. I'm not even a Dodgers. I'm an Angels fan. I've seen them win a World Series at 3 years old. I saw them win a World Series. 2.5, 3 years old, right? Before the 49ers won a Super Bowl. How fucking embarrassing is that? Where is the moxie? Where's the balls from the organization to make something happen? You just saw a division rival literally put in your face, we're going to leave these cigars after they clinched the 1 seed, fucked you up on your turf, and said, we're going to leave these cigars to smoke after we come back and win the Super Bowl there. And they did that. How does that make you feel? Can we stop being buddy-buddy in football? Everyone's homies and shit. Like, get that fucking shit out of here. Go win a Super Bowl. Go get guys that will give their all on the football field. Go get guys that actually know what they're doing in the front office. Yeah, it's easier said than done. I think they're more than a few pieces away from winning a Super Bowl next year. I think they would need to absolutely dominate this draft to the nth degree to make a super and free agency to make a Super Bowl next season. And the NFC isn't even that good. It's just Seattle and the Rams. Like no one else. Like, yeah, the Green Bay should be better, but Green Bay can't beat San Francisco to save their fucking life in the playoffs. The Lions will be better, but they're the fucking Lions. They've never made a Super Bowl in our life, anybody's life. If you're 70 years old watching this, they haven't made a fucking Super Bowl, right? Like, so the Bears, sure, but the Bears won 9 one-possession games. I expect regression from them. The Eagles, I don't trust them next year. I don't. Dallas, they couldn't guard your grandmother. They couldn't guard a fucking parked car. It's going to be a team from the NFC West again. And for the 49ers to not finish third again, I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably the Rams. They have a smart enough front office where I think they'll get a few corners. And I hate the Rams, just like I hate the Seahawks. Both those front offices know where their weaknesses are. The Rams know they did not win a Super Bowl this year because their secondary was dog shit. And that got exploited by Darnold threw for 350 against them. Okay. I mean, they had literally, and I love all McDonald's workers, but you could literally put a McDonald's worker out there right now, any McDonald's in the country, put them in the Rams secondary, and they could have given you as much production as fucking Emmanuel Forbes and every bum they had out there. And those guys are better football players than me. I'm calling them bums. At the NFL level, they are bums. Those secondary players for the Rams. They're better at football than me. Okay. They're better football than you watching this, but they are bums. They know that they need to fix that. They're going to get 2 corners and they're going to have an elite offense next year. Okay. Seattle's not going anywhere. They have $100 million in cap space. They're going to use some of that to probably retain Ken Walker. They're going to use some of that to maybe re-sign Boy Maffa if they want him. They don't even need him. All their guys are under contract pretty much besides Reek Woolen, who they'll let walk, and they'll draft a corner probably. They need a linebacker, but Ernest Jones has been fantastic. Another one would be great. I think Jake Galladay from Cincinnati is a good fit there. But what are the Niners going to do, man? You look at the flaws on their team. They are so substantial. Now, yeah, maybe they don't have as bad of a secondary as the Rams, but they certainly don't have even close to the trench play of Seattle or the Rams, even at full health. And I know the Rams didn't play that well against Seattle's O-line. Jared Verse, people were saying we're doing cardio, but like, you know what I mean, dude? Like, this is an organizational thing. I've talked to Grant Cohn about this a lot, and I'll be on again with him this week, and we'll be talking about this shit. I was just on with him yesterday. You guys should check out that video. Pre-Super Bowl, we were talking about it. And it was I made it pretty apparent. They hire from within the 49ers. Why can't we start hiring guys that actually know what the fuck they're doing? Our other assistant GM, remember his name, Carthen or whatever? He went to Tennessee. He had literally the 2 worst seasons in Tennessee Titans history, and then he got fucking canned. He gave Calvin Ridley $150 million. Okay? Like, this is the issue. These are organizational failures. You can say, oh, maybe that guy didn't have a lot of shit yet, going for him in Tennessee. Okay, what about Adam Peters? Seen as this boy genius. Adam Peters was the guy who fucking loved Brock Purdy, wanted to take him in the 3rd round. What did Adam Peters do in Washington? He signed his good friend Deebo Samuel, who's old and slow. He signed Javon Kinlaw, who's one of the biggest draft busts in 49ers history, gave him $50 million. They had the oldest roster in the league. And yes, their quarterback got hurt. But even if Jane Daniels had played the whole year, Washington was still going to be ass. They had won 9 one-possession games the year previous. That was why they had their miracle run to the NFC title game. And then they got drilled by a way better football team in Philadelphia. And I'll tell you this, Philadelphia has a better chance of getting back to the Super Bowl next year than the San Francisco 49ers do. Even with all of their fucking struggles. Why? Because I trust their front office. Even when they lose guys, they draft well. I trust Philly to draft well. This is coming back to bite the San Francisco 49ers. And for everybody that talks about Kyle Shanahan can't do this, Kyle Shanahan can't do that, I'm sick and fucking tired of it. They would be a 2. You want Kyle Shanahan gone? They'd be a fucking 2-win team without Kyle Shanahan. 2. They don't have nearly the roster to compete in the National Football League. He made them look respectable the last few years. Okay? They haven't had picks in half a decade because of the Trey Lance trade. They don't have depth. Sure, you look at, oh, they have McCaffrey, they have Kittle, both old, by the way. They have Trent Williams, old as well. Deebo Samuel, old, now gone. Brandon Ayuk didn't play. Okay, even when those guys in 2023, when they were at the peak of their prime, the roster still had depth issues. Who did we have on the defensive line besides Nick Bosa? Leonard Floyd? Well, that was last year. But, like, you know what I mean? Javon Hargrave? He didn't play well. You know what I mean? Kyle Shanahan has coached his ass off. None of those teams deserve to sniff the Super Bowl and that he went to. So I'm sick and tired of Kyle Shanahan hate. And I think it needs to be full focus on John Lynch. He needs to be criticized. He has not built a roster. He has not built a roster ready to compete for Super Bowls. John Schneider, and everyone talks about Sam Darnold being this great comeback story, and it is. It's the best story in sports right now. Everyone talks about John Schneider. He's the best story in sports. This dude was on the hot seat. He won Seattle a Super Bowl in the Pete Carroll era. He didn't really have say over the roster because Pete Carroll kind of ran everything after they had won the Super Bowl with the Legion of Boom. He's on the fucking hot seat. He's about to get canned. And Seattle fans that are watching can tell you this. He was on the hot seat. He was about to get fired. People cooked him for years while the Niners were beating the shit out of them. You know, we didn't win a Super Bowl, but we were beating the crap out of them in the regular season and in the playoffs, right? And he dominated 3 drafts in a row and aced the most important coaching hire in his tenure. I mean, there was no guarantee with Mike Macdonald. That was the best hire of the last decade as a head coach. The best one, not close. Because everybody was drafting offensive coordinators, and John Schneider had the balls and the moxie to be like, look, this shit isn't working. We need to have a guy that can call our defense because Pete Carroll's system is washed. Gus Bradley hasn't been relevant in years. Obviously, Gus Bradley was already with the Colts and other teams by that point, but he was irrelevant. That's why I called him Gus the Fossil Bradley, now with Tennessee, but was the original guy who orchestrated the Legion of Boom with Pete Carroll. But it was obvious it wasn't working with Pete Carroll. And he had Geno Smith at quarterback. And he's like, you know what? Geno, I don't want to pay him this contract. Let's go get Sam Darnold, the guy we saw win 14 games last year. And it just worked. It clicked. It clicked. All of the picks came together. Emenworry was a hit. They traded up for him. Zabel was a hit. They traded up. They got Zabel. People were hating on drafting Zabel in the first round. Do you guys remember this? Maybe not Seahawks Nation, but other teams were hating on them taking a center. And I know he played guard most of the year, but like taking a center in the first round was like a very controversial pick at the time. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't believe in Seattle going into the year. I thought they were a fucking joke. I knew Mike Macdonald could coach defense. I knew what he had done to Kyle Shanahan when he was the DC of the Ravens on Christmas. I did not think that Kubiak, who was, by the way, the 49ers, like he was with the 49ers just like his brother is now a few seasons ago. I did not think he could coach to the level that he is coached at. I know he's going to be gone, and that's obviously going to be a huge miss for the Seahawks. But because of their dominant defense and Macdonald's scheme, they will be in every single game over the next half decade. I mean, they have nobody they have to pay a lot of money in the foreseeable future. Byron Murphy, what is that, in a year or two? That's in like 2 years. They don't have to pay him. Nick Emenworry, well, he's a rookie. Witherspoon, next year after. They have a few years. JSN, okay, maybe they have to pay JSN soon. But like, the fact of the matter is that's not going to hurt them because they still have Darnold under contract for $30 million. So again, it's his organizational value. And that's what I'm trying to tell people. And people may call me somebody that, you know, is pessimistic. I just want to see the Niners be successful. I want the Niners fans to have that feeling that we're supposed to have instead of automatically glossing over Purdy and glossing over, we're going to be the quest for 6 this year. We're going to do. And I love Brock Purdy, but people treat him like Jesus Christ. And I know I'm going to give him credit. He didn't have a wide receiver 1 this past year. He didn't have it. He didn't have it. The Niners have not given him the pieces to succeed. Everyone just assumes Purdy can win a Super Bowl with a shit offensive line and no wide receivers. He can't. They are going to need to do it. And it becomes substantially tougher with him making $50+ million a year. So when you ask me, who would I rather have, Mac Jones for $20 or $30 million a year or Brock Purdy for $50 million a year when I can get very similar production? And yes, Brock Purdy's a better quarterback than Mac Jones. No one's denying that. I would rather have the guy and save $20 million and allocate that elsewhere because I know my GM cannot draft to save his life. Okay? So that is my spiel on the 49ers. You need to ace the draft. And I can't trust them to do it until John Lynch is gone. And I hope Kyle survives this era of underperforming And, I hope he's the coach for the foreseeable future because I think he's gotten the short end of the stick. I mean, he lost 2 Super Bowls against the dynasty, and he was in both of them. He should have won both. Let's be real. Like the Seahawks won against Drake May, and I'm not trying to devalue their Super Bowl. They were easily the best team in the NFL all season long. They lost by a combined 8 points in 3 total, 8 points with their 3 losses, combined 8 points. I'm not discrediting that. I just wish we could have played a young quarterback like the Rams played Joe Burrow. We played Patrick Mahomes twice. That pisses me off a little bit how we didn't get lucky. The ball didn't roll the same to us that it rolled for Seattle or it rolled for the Rams. But they still had every opportunity to win that game, and they didn't because they didn't prioritize the offensive line in both of those Super Bowls. Both of those Super Bowls. So for everybody that wants a wide receiver that's obsessed with Denzel Boston, Zachariah Branch, Omar Cooper, or Casey Concepcion, please draft an offensive lineman. Please sign Tyler Linderbaum and get Brendel the fuck out of there because Brendel is not going to do any favors for Pooney or whoever plays the other guard position this year. Linderbaum would make those guys look respectable, even if they are poor. He's that good of a center, and I'm willing to bet that if they signed him, you would see an immediate improvement. They'd be one of the best lines in the NFL next year. That's step one. But you got to prioritize the trenches. You got to get another D lineman too, because Bosa can't do it alone. And the fact of the matter is, let's call a spade a spade. Bosa's had one incredible season where he won Defensive Player of the Year. Every other year, he's pretty much been hurt. Maybe he's had 2 seasons where he's been fully healthy. He's injury prone, just like his brother. You can't trade him because you can't get any value for him. So should they go trade Max Crosby? Everybody, that's what everyone's talking about. Yes, because John, you're not going to draft well in the next your first round picks in the next 2 years. Might as well send him for Max Crosby. Might as well send him for Justin Jefferson because we know damn well Michael Williams, who, yes, was good at setting the edge. I told you guys at the time when he was drafted, I fucking hated this pick for the 49ers, and the jury's still out on him. They love projects, and they just can't develop projects. Kinlaw, project. Michael Williams, project. Solomon Thomas was supposed to be better, but a guy they were supposed to they can't develop D linemen the way they say they can. They can't. Buckner, Armstead, whatever. Okay, those guys were just talented. Michael Williams had 1 sack this year. I know he got hurt. I know he was great at stopping the run, and I'm not devaluing his ability to stop the run. He's excellent at stopping the run. I'm not devaluing that at all. But the fact of the matter is you took a guy 11th overall that couldn't fucking rush your grandma if she was quarterback. Couldn't get to your grandma. He can't rush the quarterback. He has no pass rush moves at all. At all. Okay? Now, maybe he'll look better alongside Nick Bosa once they're both healthy, but they desperately need more defensive ends. I love Alfred Collins. I love CJ West. I think they hit on both those picks, and I applaud John Lynch for that. I'm not saying he's bad at every pick. I'm saying he has to be close to perfect, like Howie Roseman and like John Schneider in the 1st and 2nd round. You can't miss on those guys. John's been great at getting 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounders that are good, but those guys don't win Super Bowls, and the Niners are evidence of that. With that, I leave you guys. Enjoy your night. I appreciate you guys. Make sure to sub to my YouTube. More long form content like this going to be coming out with a lot of 49ers draft content and just draft content overall on TikTok and my YouTube page. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to go follow me on TikTok at Brandon S. Deutsch and Cold Tub Confessions, my other page. And if you're on TikTok, make sure to go sub to my YouTube, Brandon Deutsch, where we'll be seeing a lot of this long form content. I love you all. Congratulations to the Seahawks. I'm not going to be a fan that's like, and I just fuck the Seahawks. No, like they deserve it. Their fans deserve to be happy. But now it's time for the offseason. It's time. Can the 49ers get to where the Seahawks are?